At 61, I had spent nearly 2 decades building my career at NovaCore Solutions, and today the truth was staring me in the face. "Evelyn, we're reorganizing your department," Linda Carver said, her voice carrying a note of satisfaction she tried and failed to hide. She sat across from me in the small glass conference room, flanked by Mara Fields from HR. Both wore those polished expressions of corporate regret that everyone learns to recognize, fake empathy masked as professionalism. "The company is moving in a new strategic direction," Mara added, sliding a crisp folder across the table. I nodded, accepting the folder without opening it. Inside were the standard severance terms: 2 weeks for every year of service, 3 months of health coverage, and a laundry list of career counseling services I would never use. "I understand completely," I said, my voice calm, steady. Relief flickered across their faces. They had clearly expected tears, protests, or anger. After all, I was 61, an experienced engineer in an industry obsessed with youth. What they didn't know was that I had already anticipated this moment for weeks. "Please clear your desk by Friday," Linda continued, gaining confidence from my apparent acceptance. "We'll need your key card, company laptop, and phone before you leave. Your team will be notified this afternoon." My team, 5 brilliant engineers I had personally recruited and mentored, were the ones who had helped me develop NovaCore's quantum data framework, now powering their flagship platform, DataSphere, used by over 35% of Fortune 500 companies. "Anything else?" I asked, rising from my chair. They exchanged a brief glance. Linda recovered first. "That's all for now. Thank you for making this professional," she said. Walking back to my office, I passed the glass-walled executive suite where the leadership team was in a meeting. I glimpsed CEO Martin Ellison gesturing animatedly at a presentation titled Q2 Growth Strategy. The same Martin Ellison who had taken credit for my work at last year's industry conference, referring to me merely as part of the research team. I closed my office door and sent a single text. "It's happening. Friday is my last day." The reply came almost immediately. "Perfect timing. Contracts are ready. Dinner tonight to finalize details." I smiled at the calendar on my desk. Today was Wednesday. Friday, I would walk out of NovaCore for the last time, and Monday would mark the start of something entirely new. That evening, I met Damien Hart, CEO of Vertex Innovations, NovaCore's largest competitor, at the Redwood Room, an upscale downtown restaurant far from corporate headquarters. Damien was discreet, reserving a private alcove hidden behind elegant folding screens. "They actually did it," he said after we ordered, shaking his head. "I suspected as much," I replied, sipping water, "but cutting out the very person who built your core technology. They had no idea." Damien slid a folder across the table. "All the paperwork is ready. Once you sign, Vertex Innovations acquires exclusive licensing rights to your patent, and you become Chief Technology Officer. 7-figure signing bonus, equity, ongoing royalties, every product using your algorithm. You're finally in control." I reviewed the documents, though I already knew every term by heart. The irony wasn't lost on me. NovaCore had tried to erase my contribution, yet here I was, seizing not only my future, but also safeguarding my team. "What do you think Martin's face will look like?" Damien asked. I smiled. "I'm more concerned about my team. They don't deserve to get caught in the fallout." "They're already taken care of," Damien reassured me. "Senior positions, substantial raises." I signed the final page. With one motion, I had secured my future, protected my team, and taken rightful recognition for my work. Thursday and Friday were a blur of exit interviews, knowledge transfers, and farewells. I stayed composed, documenting every project, password, and process meticulously. I wasn't being kind, I was building evidence. Novacore would soon see just how thorough I had been. During my final exit interview, Mara pushed a non-disclosure agreement across the table. Any intellectual property created during your employment remains Novacore's property, she said. Of course, I replied. Anything developed using company resources during company time, yes. Everything else belongs to me. She didn't notice the slight emphasis on the qualifiers. As I packed personal items, family photos, conference badges, a coffee mug from my team, Linda Carver lingered by the door. Everything clear for your departure? She asked, voice laced with faux concern. Crystal clear, I said, placing a small award for my quantum data framework into the box. The very project they had tried to erase now became the centerpiece of my next move. Monday dawned crisp and bright. I dressed carefully in a tailored charcoal suit, a power outfit for a power day. The Vertex Innovations town car arrived promptly at 7:30 a.m., whisking me to headquarters for my first day as Chief Technology Officer. At 7:00 a.m., Damien texted, "Press release live, communications monitoring reactions." The announcement was precise and strategically crafted. Vertex Innovations acquires exclusive rights to quantum data framework. Creator Evelyn Harper joins as CTO. The release emphasized my role as the sole inventor of the patented technology and outlined how Vertex would integrate it into their next-generation products. Most importantly, it clearly stated that any company currently using the algorithm would need to negotiate licensing agreements. By 9:15 a.m., my phone buzzed with the first messages from my former team at Novacore. Chaos, what did you do? Miguel, lead developer. I smiled and typed back, check your emails. Offers waiting for all 6 of you. 8 miles away, Novacore headquarters was descending into chaos. Martin Ellison arrived to find his general counsel and CFO waiting at his door, both pale as they read the press release simultaneously. By 9:30 a.m., a routine Monday morning meeting had transformed into an emergency crisis session. Board members called in remotely, legal teams scoured my employment records, and the servers from the research division were wheeled into conference rooms for forensic analysis. Miguel's play-by-play texts kept me amused. Victor pacing, asking why they didn't see this coming. Marla about to faint. Stock already down 7%. By 10:45 a.m., I received an email from Martin himself. Evelyn, there appears to be a misunderstanding. Please call to discuss. I forwarded it to Vertex's legal team without replying. By noon, the tech industry was buzzing. Novacore's stock had dropped while Vertex's climbed. Technology journals requested interviews, eager to dissect the strategic coup that had shaken the software market. Gregory, my executive sponsor at Vertex, stopped by my office mid-morning. "How are you feeling?" he asked. "Validated," I replied. 15 years of watching others claim my work. Now it's finally recognized. Later, during my first formal briefing to the development team, I outlined the enhancements I had secretly created to the quantum data framework, while Novacore tried to push me out. Early tests showed a 51% performance boost. The team was electrified. Every member from Novacore, Miguel, Tanya, Omar, and the others, were now free to innovate without obstruction. By 3:30 p.m., Miguel sent updates from Novacore's emergency all-hands meeting. Martin tried to project confidence, assuring staff that Novacore would protect its proprietary technology. Angst. IT hung thick in the room. Several employees had already updated LinkedIn profiles. By Wednesday, 2 major clients contacted Vertex directly, concerned about Novacore's ability to maintain DataSphere without my algorithm. Vertex's stock had surged another 8%, while Novacore continued its decline. That afternoon, I received a call from Mara Fields, the HR officer who had handed me my severance package. "Evelyn, we believe there may have been a misunderstanding about the patent ownership." I smiled. "No misunderstanding. My employment agreement clearly states that anything developed on my own time using my own resources remains mine." By the end of the week, Novacore's board had lost confidence in Martin Ellison. He resigned immediately, along with Marla Fields and the head of legal responsible for failing to secure the patent. A new interim CEO reached out to discuss licensing, offering public acknowledgement of my contribution, a clear capitulation. 3 months later, I stood at the podium of the National Tech Innovation Summit, delivering the keynote. I surveyed the audience. Industry leaders, journalists, young engineers, hungry for mentorship. "Today," I said, "I want to talk about the importance of protecting intellectual contributions and ensuring innovators are recognized for their work, regardless of age or title." The applause was overwhelming. Several young engineers, barely 30, approached afterward, inspired to document their work properly and assert ownership of their ideas. By the 1-year anniversary of my departure from Novacore, Vertex had released 3 breakthrough products built on my algorithm, capturing market share and cementing my influence. I raised a glass with Damien, quietly satisfied. "It's never been about revenge," I said. "It's about recognition, showing the industry that innovation comes from real people who deserve real credit." Damien smiled, clinking glasses with me. "And that, Evelyn, is exactly how you change the game." Weeks passed, but the tension at Novacore only intensified. Every morning, my inbox pinged with updates from my former team, Miguel, Tanya, Omar, and the others, detailing the chaos I had left behind. Board just called an emergency session. Martin looks like he's about to explode. "Miguel," I smiled, sipping coffee in my new corner office at Vertex Innovations. From here, I could watch not just my own ascent, but the ripple effect of properly valuing innovation. My former company, once untouchable, was scrambling to salvage a flagship product that depended entirely on the quantum data framework. By now, the press had caught wind of the strategic coup. Headlines ran, "Novacore in crisis, CTO's departure sparks industry shakeup. Vertex Innovations acquires core technology. Former employees follow. One woman, one algorithm. A $200 million market shift." The irony wasn't lost on me. I had been meticulous. All logs, development notes, and time-stamped patent filings documented every enhancement I had developed independently. Novacore's legal team combed through contracts and employment agreements, but every argument they might have made had been anticipated and countered in advance. Even Martin Ellison himself reached out again, his tone edged with desperation. "Evelyn, I implore you, can we discuss terms?" I forwarded the email to Vertex's legal team. "Handle it," I instructed, and went back to my work. At 10 a.m., the first licensing inquiries arrived, not from Novacore, still in denial, but from cautious competitors and major clients, all scrambling to secure access. The quantum data framework was no longer just software. It had become the pivot point of an entire market. By midday, the Vertex development floor was alive with energy. Screens displayed real-time performance tests. The enhancements I had secretly engineered during my personal time were pushing benchmarks far beyond anything Novacore could achieve. A 51% improvement in processing speed, unmatched reliability and scalability that my former company had only dreamed of implementing. During a strategy meeting with my team, I looked around the room. These engineers, once confined by bureaucratic indifference, were now free to innovate. "This is how development should feel," I said, smiling. "Not every idea needs approval from someone who doesn't understand the architecture. Here, your expertise is valued." The climax came quietly but unmistakably. On Wednesday afternoon, Miguel sent a text. Novacor just announced emergency leadership changes. Martin resigned. Marla and legal head gone. Board in chaos. I allowed myself a small, private smile. Within days, the company that had dismissed me was forced to admit that its foundation relied entirely on my work. The quantum data framework wasn't just code, it was leverage. Industry analysts began publishing pieces dissecting the implosion. Can Novacor survive without their CTO? Vertex Innovations, the strategic masterstroke that shook the market. I prepared for a call with the interim CEO, a professional conversation meant to finalize licensing agreements. He was cordial, acknowledging my contributions publicly and agreeing to fair compensation. My victory wasn't personal, it was principled. Recognition mattered more than revenge. By Friday, Vertex had fully integrated my team. The quantum data framework was being deployed in 3 major product lines, all of which demonstrated immediate performance boosts. Market share reports already showed a surge, while Novacor's valuation had begun a precipitous slide. That evening, Damien and I reviewed the progress over dinner in our private office. "You didn't just take control," he said, leaning back in his chair. "You redefined the rules." I nodded, reflecting on the journey. 6 engineers, 15 years, a single overlooked patent, and an entire industry oblivious to the value of experience and foresight. And now, finally, recognition was complete. "Phase 1, I said quietly. "Done." Damien raised his glass. "To valuing talent, foresight, and patience. You changed the game." And I had. Weeks turned into months, and Vertex Innovations continued to thrive under my guidance. Every product line leveraging the quantum data framework shattered previous performance records, and market share reports reflected it. Novacor, on the other hand, struggled to keep DataSphere operational. The irony of my departure had become a cautionary tale in corporate boardrooms. Dismiss the innovator, and the company pays. Even the smallest details mattered. I spent mornings reviewing development logs and refining protocols with my team. Every improvement was meticulously documented, ensuring that no one could later claim it was corporate property. My engineers thrived under autonomy. Innovation flowed unrestrained. Miguel had taken the lead on implementing predictive analytics enhancements. Tanya optimized data retrieval systems, and Omar streamlined parallel processing pipelines. The energy on the development floor was electric. Each person recognized not only for their skill but for their creativity. Meanwhile, Novacor spiraled. Martin Ellison's resignation was only the beginning. The interim CEO struggled to stabilize the company. Critical clients were contacting Vertex directly, worried about future support. News headlines amplified every misstep. Novacor in turmoil, CTO's exit reveals industry vulnerabilities. Vertex Innovations captures market advantage with quantum framework. One morning, an invitation arrived in my inbox. The National Technology Innovation Summit had requested me as their keynote speaker. My thoughts drifted back to last year, when I had attended the same conference seated in the back, invisible, while others presented my work. Now, I would stand at the podium, recognized not as part of a team, but as the inventor, the visionary. When I arrived at the conference, the energy in the hall was palpable. Industry leaders, journalists, and aspiring engineers filled every seat. A hush fell as the MC announced, "Ladies and gentlemen, our keynote speaker, Evelyn Harper, Chief Technology Officer at Vertex Innovations and creator of the Quantum Data Framework." Applause erupted as I approached the podium, surveying the faces in the audience. Every one of them represented potential allies, collaborators, and students of innovation. I inhaled deeply, feeling a quiet pride, not arrogance. "Thank you," I began, voice steady and confident. A year ago, I was dismissed from a company I had dedicated nearly 2 decades to. My contributions were undervalued, my team overlooked, and my work nearly erased. Today, I am here to speak not about revenge, but about recognition, the importance of valuing innovators and their intellectual contributions, regardless of age, title, or gender. The slides behind me displayed the Quantum Data Framework's architecture, the enhancements my team had made, and real-time comparisons of performance metrics against industry standards. But I also addressed the broader message: innovation isn't anonymous. It comes from people. It comes from experience, patience, and foresight. Protecting intellectual property isn't just about patents. It's about respect. Recognition encourages creativity, fosters growth, and drives progress. After the presentation, the reception was filled with young engineers, particularly women under 30, approaching me for advice and mentorship. One of them confided, "Your story changed how I document my work. I started keeping detailed logs on personal time, ensuring I have ownership." I smiled. "Exactly. Your contributions matter. Protect them, claim them, let your work speak, and demand that it be recognized." Meanwhile, Vertex Innovations' growth continued unabated. Every day, I received reports on performance metrics and client acquisition. The enhancements we implemented, private refinements I had withheld from Novacore, resulted in unprecedented efficiency gains. By the end of the quarter, Vertex's market valuation had surpassed Novacore's for the first time in history. The legal fallout at Novacore was ongoing. Licensing negotiations were finalized, with public acknowledgement of my role as inventor, substantial financial compensation, and formal apologies from the board. The company implemented internal reforms, overhauling their policies on intellectual property, inventor recognition, and employee engagement. Their mistakes had been expensive, but they had been a lesson for the industry at large. Back at Vertex, I continued to expand my team. We were no longer just maintaining the quantum data framework, we were redefining the boundaries of data processing, predictive analytics, and cloud integration. I encouraged engineers to take ownership of their innovations, to document meticulously, and to present confidently. Each successful product was a testament to the philosophy I had championed. Talent, experience, and recognition are inseparable. On the 1-year anniversary of my departure from Novacore, Damien entered my office carrying a bottle of champagne. "Happy anniversary," he said, setting 2 glasses on my desk. "The board wanted me to share the news personally. Vertex Innovations has officially surpassed Novacore in market valuation." I smiled, raising my glass. It's never been about revenge, it's about proper recognition, about ensuring that innovation is credited to those who create it. Damien clinked his glass with mine. "And that, Evelyn, is exactly how you change an industry." In the months that followed, I was invited to speak at multiple conferences, mentoring sessions, and leadership panels. Every speech carried the same message: protect your intellectual property, recognize the contributions of your team, and never underestimate the value of experience. By the second quarter, Vertex had released 3 groundbreaking products built entirely on the quantum data framework. Each one captured additional market share, pushing Novacore further into decline. Investors and industry analysts lauded the company's approach, recognizing talent and empowering innovators. Looking back, I realized that my journey, though fraught with dismissal, oversight, and corporate disregard, had become a blueprint for change. My age, experience, and meticulous preparation had turned what seemed like a setback into a strategic triumph. The very qualities that Novacore had on Cecina's liabilities became my greatest assets. Sitting in my office one late afternoon, watching the sun filter through floor-to-ceiling windows, I reflected on the transformation. At 61, I had achieved what many might have considered improbable: recognition, control, and the ability to shape an industry. But more importantly, I had created a legacy for my team and for every engineer who might be overlooked, undervalued, or underestimated. Evelyn Harper's name was now permanently attached to the quantum data framework, not just as an employee, not just as a member of a team, but as the creator, the visionary, and the leader who refused to let her work go unrecognized. The journey had been long, and the battles strategic, but the lesson was clear. True innovation belongs to those who claim it, protect it, and ensure the world knows its source. And in that realization, I found a quiet, enduring satisfaction, one that no dismissal, corporate oversight, or underestimation could ever take away. I poured a final sip of champagne, raising my glass to the future. The industry had changed, Vertex had changed, and I had changed it all. Recognition, not revenge, was the ultimate victory. And that was exactly how you change the game.